In order for man to succeed in life, God provided him with two means, education and physical activity. Not separately, one for the soul and the other for the body, but for the two together. With these two means, man can attain perfection.
Yes! Yes! Find each other, because you need each other right now, so find each other.
Alright, so, you want it being goofy?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to jump and pull. Come on. Up. There you go, tough guy. Up. Just do your best. Jump and pull.
2.
Yep. Up, up, up.
3.
Almost done. 2 more. You got it, buddy. You got to jump and pull. Up, 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 up.
4.
1 more. Do your best. Do your best. Do your best. 1 more. Last one, buddy. Up, 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 up.
5.
Control. Down. Very good. Take a break. How you feeling?
Yeah.
Nice. You alright?
Yeah.
Almost fell on a rock. Falling on the rocks.
Oh yeah.
Good job, buddy. What city's that?
Like a baby.
Yes, sir. Yep. Jump and push. Up.
1.
Yep. Control. Good. 1.
2.
Yep. Up.
3.
Very good. 2 more. Control.
4.
Get a little tummy work in there. Go do belly work. 1 more.
And
Up.
5.
Control it. That way. What city's over that way?
On my turn.
Very good. Nice job.
80,
Yeah.
88,
Yeah.
88 plus 8, 8 plus 8, no, 16, carry the 1, 96,
Yeah.
96,
Yeah.
96, 104,
Yeah.
104,
Yeah.
Hundred 60.
Next. What's next? What's next?
Now, press this.
Very good. Nice job.
Boom. Pow.
I'm the one who stayed when I cried those tears. I'm a new man now. The news came out. I collected all my booze and I threw that out. Collecting blue face now. Your dude came down from being way too high. A few rain clouds. I ain't hating. I still love you. Y'all not bad friends. We were on the same page, but every chapter ends. I still watch out from a distance. We ain't hanging again. I left that life and getting dragged back in.
If you lie to the government, they'll put you in prison. But when they lie to all of us, it's called being a politician. You think taking guns away will save our kids from the killings? But you're pro-choice, abortion kills way more children. If America's so terrible and racist, it probably isn't safe to encourage immigration. Just saying, all the contradictions are embarrassing. You know who hates America the most? Americans. Trigger warnings used to be on TV for seizures, and now they're everywhere to protect millennials' feelings. He, she, his, him, hers, them, they. Screw up pronoun, cause everyone's a retard these days. You're preaching at the protest that hate's the problem, but hating straight men, white folks, and Christians is common. Coca-Cola telling people they should be less white. They preach intolerance, but if you disagree, they fight. There's a race war here, elections based on fear. Black lives only matter once every 4 years. Soldiers died for this country, and every one of us benefits. Give welfare to the bums and forget about the the veterans. Black folks and white folks divided by the news. But we are all the same. We are red, white, and blue. Ashamed to be American. Because honestly, we are all ashamed of you too. Colors so fake. Oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes.
Everyone fights, no one quits.
When I was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math in the New York City public schools. And like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests, I gave out homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have stratospheric IQ scores. Some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking. The kinds of things you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, the area of a parallelogram. But these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they worked hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure, things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Push up. Now, every morning.
50 years ago, President Kennedy made physical fitness a national priority.
This should be a matter of concern to us all. A country is as strong, really, as its citizens.
Kennedy framed the issue in Cold War terms. We had to get fit in order to compete with the communists. In this 1962 government film, Bob Hope made the case.
Maybe you've seen some of the pictures of those Eastern European athletic meets. With these people, physical fitness is a way of life. And while there isn't much over there we'd care to copy, we could do with a little more of this kind of thing in our country.
Exercise became the order of the day, especially in schools.
Getting used to the new physical fitness program in our school wasn't easy. But once we got onto it, it was fun. We found we could do a whole lot more than we thought without getting tired. And anybody who couldn't keep up was a real square.
But today, obesity rates among young Americans are nearly 4 times as high as they were in the 1960s. And as for phys ed, only 2% of high schools in America provide daily PE. But we found a high school in Illinois that's taking Kennedy's mandate to a new level. At Naperville Central, a public high school of nearly 3,000 students, educators believe exercise will not only get kids fit, but will improve learning and academic performance. And they're putting that idea into practice for a group of students who struggle in reading and in math. At 7:45 a.m., these freshmen and sophomores start the day in the gym.
Get your heart rate up.
The key is to get their heart rates up right before their most difficult classes.
Right now, I'm riding the bike to get at least 20 minutes in the zone.
The whole goal was to get them at 145 to 185 beats per minute for their heart rate.
Once Nadine Alness has hit her target heart rate zone, she heads to a class to improve reading comprehension.
Here's an example of a text-to-world connection, and this is what you'll be doing in your journals. Cross-reducing is the easiest.
Then comes pre-algebra.
Let's look at number 21. You cross-reduce with the 9.
I like gym in the morning, how it refreshes me. I don't doze off a lot, so I focus more onto the teacher, more on the lessons, more on everything.
Hello.
Paul Zintarski is the brains behind the program. He was the physical education coordinator here for 26 years. He says some teachers were skeptical when he first came up with the idea.
They were afraid that the kids would be so hyped up coming out of PE going into the next class that they wouldn't be able to teach them well. So yeah, skeptical? Absolutely. They thought we were weird.
But in the 6 years since the program began, the results speak for themselves. On average, kids who signed up for physical education directly before reading comprehension read half a year ahead of those who opted out of the exercise program. And in math, the improvements were even more dramatic. Students with the benefit of PE before pre-algebra consistently did better, improving 2 to 4 times more than their peers on standardized tests. It's something that Zintarski thinks other educators need to know about.
people are dropping PE because test scores are failing. That's not the approach. That's the exact opposite of what you need to do to be successful.
And he's not just talking about that group of students. When it comes to academics, the District of Naperville is one of the best in the state. Zintarski believes one of the key reasons is that all kids here take a fitness-based PE program. And now he's trying to spread that idea to other schools.
My crusade is to let them know that if you infuse quality physical education in your program, that your kids will do better academically.
The real sexy part of what exercise does is that it promotes the growth of new brain cells.
John Ratey is a psychiatrist who teaches at Harvard Medical School. He spent years studying the link between exercise and learning.
Is exercise to the brain the same functionally as exercise to the muscle? That is, the more you use it, the more you can lift, the more you can learn.
Exactly. We call the brain a muscle these days. The more you use the brain, the better it gets. That's why people are doing Sudoku, people are doing crossword puzzles. They're using their brains. But so does physical exercise. It challenges our brain. And just like when we challenge our muscles, they grow, so too does our brain.
Ratey tells us the science goes like this. When you exercise, the first thing that happens is neurotransmitters are released into the brain, keeping us awake and alert. Then, after a few minutes, exercise stimulates our nerve cells to grow and connect, creating the perfect environment for learning.
I called it miracle grow for the brain, which means that it's brain fertilizer. So it helps our brain cells stay young and perky, and it also helps our brain cells do what they're supposed to do when we learn, which is to grow.
I say it's not voodoo, it's really based on science.
Paul Zintarski is using this information to get parents and educators excited about following the Naperville model.
This is what I present to parents when I'm trying to convince them about the program. If you would have ever told me that I would have gone into the neuroscience of the brain, no way.
And there's emerging research supporting the contention that exercise and learning are connected. At the University of Illinois in 2009, scientists found that 20 minutes of walking before a test raised children's test scores. And in a study of more than 2.4 million Texas students in 2010, kids with higher physical fitness levels were better behaved and had better test scores.
Is it as simplistic, or simple rather, as more gym time equals higher test scores?
Not necessarily. It's not that simple. It's not just gym time. It's fitness-based PE that's really the center of it. In other words, it has to be focused on all the children, because when I grew up and when you grew up, probably gym class was mainly for the athletes.
Right.
And those that didn't want to participate were set off on the side, or if you chose up teams, you didn't play. If you weren't that good, it was a whole different animal to have every child participating. And I think that was the beauty of what I saw at Naperville.
At Naperville Central, an admittedly prosperous suburban school, gym here resembles a health club. It's the rare school that can afford yoga classes,
I should hear your exhale.
dance lessons, kickboxing. But Zintarski's advice to any district is to go outside the system for money.
You need to go to corporations. You need to go to the food industry, who gets a bad rap for giving kids bad food, and say, hey, you've got to give some money back.
He's raised about $250,000 over 20 years. The big lesson of Naperville, however, isn't about having spiffy facilities. It's that exercise is as much an academic undertaking as an athletic one.
It's nice to have the bells and whistles, don't get me wrong. But if you have jump ropes in an urban setting, students can exercise and get their heart rates up. And it's all about getting your heart rates up. It's one thing to exercise because you want to look good, you want to be healthy. But now when you throw in the fact that you're going to literally create more brain cells every time you do an aerobic exercise, it gives you another reason to go about doing it.
Will you ever quit? No!
We want some more! We want some more! We want some more!
Turn in!